Hello again, YouTube. So I thought I'd create a second video while I'm still out and about at the moment. Just talking about introverts, introversion. What do you classify yourself as? Are you an introvert? Are you an extrovert? Or are you an ambivert, which is somewhere in the middle? I know there's this thing about not trying to self-diagnose or look up too much stuff on the internet, but introverts or introversion is something that I think often gets conflated with social anxiety, for example. Now, I know people that have social anxiety. Whether they identify as introverts, I don't know. But before I really knew what it meant, I always had an idea what introverts were and introversion was. And I always secretly suspected that I might be one. Some years ago, I was watching a TED Talk, and I think it was Susan Cain, who's the author of, I'll have to come back. I'll edit this together. I'll put the link in. The Power of Introverts, something like that. And it was really quite illuminating, and I remember thinking it was very interesting. And then it wasn't immediately after, but sometime being on YouTube, mulling around as I usually do, I came across, I think it was one of the Psych2Go videos. They've done quite a lot of videos about introverts and the different personality types. And I remember one of the videos was, I think there's like 4 classifications, and one of them was social introvert. And when I saw that, I thought, oh, this pretty much describes me to a T, because against the stereotype, I guess, that some people might have, that introverts are just holed away in their basements and afraid of the sun and don't want to interact with anybody. That's not the truth at all. And again, I think anyone who does says that is most likely suffering from social anxiety. For me, I'm very much a people person. I truly love interacting with people, always have done. I've always been able to get on with people from pretty much all walks of life, and kind of be on their level in a lot of ways. And my late dad was very much the same, so I think I take very much after him on that regard. But one of the key things that I think introverts across the board have is, I heard someone describe it best once as having energy credits. And once the energy credits run out, that's it. And that's very much for the same with me. So, for example, I'm out and about at the moment in nature, and that's something that I think a lot of introverts, I mean, again, across the board, but especially introverts, I think this is something that's very much appeals to our nature. But I can be on a walk with 10, 20, 50 people out all day and be totally fine with that for the most part. But then if I'm sat around a table with even half of that number of people, especially if I'm engaged in small talk, I find that very draining. And to be honest, I find certain people in certain situations, certain social situations, very draining. And I think that's to do with perhaps being overstimulated. But I'm not a fan of particularly like a lot of loud music or loud noises or flashing lights, stuff like that. So you combine that with being in a social setting with people that I don't necessarily want to be around or talking to. If I've had to do it in the past, I find that it can drain me a lot. And I distinctly remember being at a Christmas dinner with a group of people, and I was only there maybe three and a half hours tops, but I remember just feeling like more tired the more that the evening wore on. And I'd only had a couple of drinks at this point, because I'm not really much of a drinker. And I'd had Christmas dinner and I'd had Christmas pudding and whatnot. And I remember just having to peel myself away from the table and just say, I've got to go, made some excuse. And I remember the next day feeling like I was hungover, which was odd, because again, I'd only had a couple of drinks. And I thought, well, it can't be the alcohol. Why do I feel so tired? And I kind of felt again the same the next day. Again, this is going back probably about 6-7 years ago. So this was before I really found out more information about introverts and introversion. But it wasn't long after that I think I came across that video I mentioned earlier, the Psych2Go one, or it was some video talking about introverts, and this lady was basically describing a similar situation where she's with her husband who's an extrovert, and she said, I'm very much a people person and I love like parties. I'm not personally a big party person, but she said, and I'm having a great time, and then I'm not, and then I just have to leave. She said, I can literally feel like my energy just completely like this. And that was a bit of a light bulb moment, because I thought, oh, that's exactly how I felt at that dinner. I literally felt my energy just draining away. And I've since discovered that that's quite a common thing with introverts, is that if we're talking to like-minded people, especially if it's subjects that I'm quite passionate or interested about, like film, for example, like genre films, I can talk to people all day long on that and actually come away feeling quite energized. But likewise, I can be talking to someone and it's not necessarily that they're boring, but they could just be talking about something that really it kind of just doesn't gel with me, and you just kind of do that polite making small talk conversation, and then that can leave me drained. And to be honest, I can even feel drained even being with people that I do enjoy being around and talking to. But it's definitely more so if it's people that I'm not particularly that comfortable with, or they're just talking very dryly about stuff. So anyway, that's just my short bit about introverts. So again, the question to you out there is, do you identify as an introvert? Do you think you may be one, but you haven't sort of officially found out for yourself? Not that it's something that you diagnose. It's not a condition, is it? It's just more of a personality trait. But yeah, I think that's why again, shout out to Timothy Ward. I mentioned him in the other video that's going to be going up in here. But I very much am drawn to people like that on YouTube as well. And I mean, I have friends that are extroverted. I think that's another stereotype, that introverts only can deal with other introverts and extroverts stay with extroverts. It's like, no, not at all. Extroverts get their energy from being around other people, and introverts tend to get their energy from withdrawing more in, being solitary on their own. So I think that's pretty much across the board. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there for now. So comment down below if you identify as an introvert, or maybe if you're an ambivert or an extrovert. What are your thoughts? And with regards to YouTube, something that I heard recently, I'll just end on this, is someone who's also an introvert. She was talking about how YouTube is actually a really good way for developing self-growth and personal confidence, because I'm not confident, but definitely when it comes to being on camera and pictures, I've never been a fan. This is quite difficult for me to do. So it's something I'm hoping to look back and realise, how much I've grown from that, and getting more and more confident and more comfortable with talking, and having to use less edits and not have too many ums and likes. So anyway, I'm going to leave it there for now. So again, comment down below, and hope to see you guys in the next video. Take care for now.